Welcome back to the Dinar Daily, your source for tracking the latest developments and in-depth analysis of the Iraqi dinar's long-term financial trajectory. Today, we're dissecting a scenario that has captivated countless observers for years: the potential transition of the Iraqi dinar to a freely traded currency on the global foreign exchange market. This topic, which has long been the subject of intense discussion, speculation, and the careful monitoring of economic policy, represents a potential shift in how the dinar functions both domestically within Iraq and as an instrument in the wider international financial system. The journey of the Iraqi dinar has been anything but straightforward, marked by complex economic reforms, political transitions, and a concerted effort by Iraq to stabilize and rebuild its financial infrastructure following years of conflict and sanctions. Those who have closely followed this path understand that it is a dynamic process, one that involves both significant challenges and the promising prospect of Iraq realizing its considerable economic potential, largely driven by its vast oil reserves. The focus has consistently been on the eventual normalization of the currency's role on the world stage. For a long time, the concept of the dinar being freely listed and traded on the global Forex market felt like a distant, perhaps even theoretical possibility. It existed mostly in the realm of long-term economic planning and the hopes of those tracking Iraq's broader economic recovery. However, recent conversations among financial analysts and observers suggest a subtle but profound shift. The question is evolving from a purely speculative "if" to a more tangible discussion of when and, critically, how such a transition would be managed for global currency holders. This shift in focus is significant because a listing on the foreign exchange market would imply a complete reordering of the dinar's status. When a currency is accepted for free international trading, it moves away from being tightly managed by a central authority through capital controls and restrictive policies. Instead, its value is discovered and determined by the collective, organic forces of supply and demand operating across the world's financial centers. Such a development would signal the removal of many of the financial and regulatory constraints that have historically kept the dinar's value within a narrow, government-controlled band. These constraints were often necessary during periods of instability to protect the nascent economy, but their removal would represent a major milestone. It would signify that Iraq's financial system is now deemed mature and resilient enough to withstand the natural volatility and pressures of open international markets. The value of a freely traded dinar would then become directly tied to Iraq's economic fundamentals. This includes the volume and price of its oil exports, its national trade balance with other nations, the credibility and consistency of its monetary policy decisions, and the overall level of trust that global institutions and foreign investors place in the country's stability and financial governance. This market-driven valuation would be a global recognition of Iraq's economic maturity. To grasp the full weight of this potential change, consider what it means for the dinar to be traded alongside established major world currencies like the US dollar, the euro, the Japanese yen, and the British pound. These currencies do more than facilitate commerce. They function as internationally accepted instruments of trust, stability, and confidence in their issuing nations, economies, and legal systems. If the dinar were to gain entry into this selective group of globally recognized currencies, it would be a powerful statement. It would effectively declare that Iraq's financial infrastructure has reached a degree of transparency, reliability, and security that international banking and trading systems can rely upon without special provisions or exceptional risks. The dinar would transition from a local, restricted currency to a globally fungible asset. This transformation would enable international banks to exchange the dinar seamlessly, allow global businesses to use it routinely in cross-border trade, and permit institutional investors to integrate it as a legitimate component within their diversified financial portfolios. It would be a transformative development, moving beyond a mere technical adjustment to become a pivotal step in Iraq's emergence on the world financial stage. For individuals who hold dinar, whether in Iraq or abroad, this event would translate the long-discussed potential into a structured, practical financial process. The ability to transact with the currency would move from a theoretical concept to an action that could be performed within established, regulated financial institutions under real-time market conditions, providing a clear path to liquidity. Imagine the day the news breaks. The Iraqi dinar is now freely trading on global Forex markets. For many, the initial reaction would be one of disbelief, given how long this scenario has been discussed within the investment community. However, this immediate skepticism would quickly give way to the tangible reality of a major financial event unfolding, prompting holders to consider the next steps for their currency notes. The path to exchanging the currency would, in this scenario, lead directly to a standard banking institution, not to opaque or unverified intermediaries. A local bank branch, the kind used for everyday transactions, would become the practical venue for managing this transition, symbolizing the normalization of the currency status within the global system. The exchange process would be marked by an inherent certainty. The dinar, now officially recognized by the global system, would be treated as a legitimate currency. This transition from hope and rumor to official, international acceptance provides the certainty required for a routine, transparent banking operation, removing the legacy of speculation that has long surrounded the currency. Upon presenting dinar notes at a bank counter, the exchange would be underpinned by the extensive security and technological safeguards typical of global financial operations. Banks would utilize high-precision currency authentication devices, often considered the industry standard, to meticulously verify the legitimacy of every note. These advanced machines are designed to do much more than simply count currency. They would perform a battery of sophisticated tests, including analyzing embedded watermarks, scanning metallic security threads, inspecting holographic elements under various light sources, and even verifying the chemical composition of the specialized inks used in the printing of the notes. This automated and rigorous verification process would offer the currency holder an unshakable sense of security. It eliminates any doubt about the authenticity of the bills and ensures that the dinar is handled with the same stringent seriousness as the US dollar, euro, or any other major currency, signaling its integration into the global financial family. Following the successful authentication, the most anticipated moment would occur. The teller would access their computer terminal, which would be connected in real time to the global foreign exchange market. This link is critical as it pulls in the live, market-driven exchange rate reflecting the collective judgment and trading activity of institutions and investors worldwide. Appearing on that screen would be the official, market-determined exchange rate for the Iraqi dinar. This figure would no longer be derived from rumor or speculative predictions, but would be a truly tradable number, anchored to the reality of global liquidity and supply and demand dynamics, updating constantly as the market fluctuates. The teller would then confirm the current rate, perform the calculation to convert the dinar into the holder's preferred currency, such as US dollars, and present the final total. This moment would represent the realization of years of patient anticipation, transforming a long-term theoretical investment into actual accessible capital, a tangible outcome of financial normalization. Once the conversion is complete, the new reality is defined by financial freedom and choice. The holder is entirely empowered to decide the next step, free from the constraints and uncertainties that once defined the currency's status. They could opt to deposit the entire converted sum directly into their bank account, instantly liquidating their holdings. Alternatively, a holder might choose a strategic approach, converting only a portion of their dinar, retaining a reserve of the original currency as a potential hedge against any future shifts or further appreciation in its global market value. They could even decide to walk away without converting any, confident in the global legitimacy of their notes. The crucial takeaway is not the specific choice made, but the absolute and transparent freedom to make it. There would be no complex, restrictive terms, no shadowy third parties, and no opaque regulations. It would be a routine, transparent, and regulated financial process overseen by established institutions adhering to clear, enforceable rules. This freedom of choice acts as the ultimate validation. It signifies that the dinar has completed its transformation from a speculative asset to a fully matured, respected currency. For holders, this represents empowerment, the ability to engage with the new financial reality entirely on their own terms and at their own pace, making liquidity a personal decision rather than a distant hope. A separate but highly pertinent discussion within the community revolves around the economic concept of deleting the zeros, a phrase that has appeared in official reports and commentaries, often causing significant debate and misunderstanding among investors. For external observers, the idea of deleting zeros is frequently and incorrectly equated with the essential process of revaluation. They sometimes assume that supporters of the dinar's potential are advocating for a redenomination, a cosmetic reduction of the currency's nominal value which would effectively erase the leverage that initially attracted many investors. This assumption fundamentally misses the long-term investment thesis shared by many observers. The core vision has always been to maintain the face value of the existing notes, the zeros, intact, while allowing the official exchange rate to appreciate dramatically on the global markets, increasing the purchasing power of each note. This distinction is essential. The goal is a true revaluation, an increase in global worth, not a simple redenomination, which is a purely administrative financial exercise. Preserving the zeros is precisely what maintains the exponential potential that has driven interest in the dinar for so long, offering a significant multiplier effect on the capital held. To illustrate, consider a 25,000 IQD note. Under a revaluation scenario where the dinar's rate significantly rises, that single note could yield a substantial sum in another currency, preserving the potential for life-changing returns. A redenomination, or LOP, however, would reduce the 25,000 note to a much smaller unit, stripping away the entire foundation of the long-term investment thesis, even if valued at par with a major currency. Therefore, from the perspective of many financial observers, a revaluation that keeps the structural zeros is not only more aligned with the expectations of long-term holders, but is also arguably the more logical and efficient path for Iraq's economy. A redenomination requires a massive, costly logistical overhaul, including the printing and distribution of entirely new banknotes across the entire national economy. By contrast, a clean revaluation operates by simply adjusting the official exchange rate. This leverages the trillions of notes already in circulation, instantly positioning the currency on the global stage without incurring the massive time, resources, and potential disruption that a full currency changeover would entail for domestic systems. Furthermore, the global Forex markets prize simplicity, clarity, and consistency. Attempting to launch the dinar on international markets while simultaneously managing a domestic redenomination would inject unnecessary complexity and confusion into trading algorithms, international banking systems, and settlement processes, making seamless adoption difficult. Thus, a direct Forex listing itself strongly suggests the likelihood of the zeros remaining intact. A stable, revalued currency anchored to existing denominations is the most practicable and efficient solution for immediate, seamless integration into international trading platforms, making it the most probable outcome from a market efficiency perspective. Beyond the technical and logistical reasoning, the emergence of a freely traded dinar carries a deeply symbolic and profound human element. It is not merely a financial tool. It is a symbol of national sovereignty restored and a nation confidently stepping forward to claim its rightful place in the global economic order. For Iraq as a nation, joining the global Forex stage transcends basic monetary reform. It is a declaration that the country has successfully navigated decades of instability and external financial control, asserting its position as a serious economic player. whose potential is backed by one of the world's most significant resource bases for Iraqi citizens. This transition promises a tangible restoration of both national pride and practical purchasing power. Everyday transactions currently hampered by a restricted exchange rate would gain new strength and legitimacy, directly improving the quality of life for the average person. For international investors who have patiently tracked this process, a successful market listing would be a validation of their steadfast belief that Iraq's economy would eventually normalize and reward those who committed to its long-term potential. During times of uncertainty and doubt. As this long-anticipated scenario moves closer to being a practical reality, preparation becomes an essential step for all participants. After years of careful observation and endurance, a proactive and organized approach is prudent to manage the potential moment effectively and, without undue stress. Practical steps should begin with the fundamentals. Ensuring all personal identification documents are current and easily accessible, and that all dinar holdings are securely stored, organized, and readily available for presentation at a financial institution when the time comes for potential exchange. Beyond logistics, holders are encouraged to reflect on their own personal financial goals. This involves contemplating strategic questions, such as the exact amount of currency to convert immediately versus how much to potentially hold back, and how the proceeds align with long-term financial planning for themselves and their families. The nature of a straightforward, established bank exchange means that it does not demand advanced financial expertise or complex trading knowledge. It is designed to be a simple, transparent, and secure transaction, much like cashing a check, ensuring accessibility for all individual holders, regardless of their financial background. Behind this operational simplicity, however, lies the potential for profound personal transformation. For some, this moment could mean achieving the financial stability to clear long-standing debts. For others, it could be the foundation for funding education, acquiring a home, or establishing generational wealth through disciplined investment. While excitement is natural and understandable, given the unique history and potential of this currency, it must be paired with discipline and grounded vigilance. Staying accurately informed by relying exclusively on official sources, verified institutional channels, and credible financial news is paramount to avoid being misled by speculation. Sharing accurate, confirmed information and providing measured support within the community is vital, especially during the final stages of this journey, as it helps to maintain clarity and collective confidence. The long-standing unity of the community remains a source of strength, essential now in the days of potential fulfillment as it was during the years of patient waiting. Ultimately, the prospect of the dinar trading live on global Forex markets is more than just a headline or a financial metric. It represents the active trigger that transforms the long-anticipated potential into a tangible reality. It is the definitive bridge from holding paper to holding a value recognized by the world. The moment this bridge is crossed, will be about much more than a financial transaction. It will be about witnessing history unfold and being part of a profound story that redefines the future prospects of a nation and validates the persistence of its long-term observers. The potential for such a transformation should not be underestimated. This entire scenario underscores the power of perseverance coupled with vision, showing that a belief in a nation's ability to rise, reclaim its financial sovereignty, and assert its place on the global stage can yield extraordinary, life-changing outcomes for both the nation and those who place their faith in its potential.